No whammies.
Big money, no whammies. Does anybody remember that show?
Price is Right.
It wasn't Price is Right.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No.
What was it?
It was, I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't Price is Right. I don't know. Somebody correct us if it's wrong. Somebody tell us what the name of that show was, because I thought it was like this cheesy game show. I don't think it's Price is Right. It's not Price is Right.
I feel like I have to look this up.
All right. Well, somebody's going to correct us on it either way. But today, what we're talking about is assets under management. Sounds
Press
like
your luck.
Press your luck. That's it. I knew it.
You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, that cheesy show. I used to watch that.
I don't feel like I don't remember watching that show, but I definitely remember No Whammies.
Big money, no whammies. What's a whammy?
What's a whammy?
Anyway, today we're talking about the second most important financial metric to track, which we call assets under management. And it sounds like a super financial term, because it is. Because financial advisors...
we debated in calling it that.
Well, yeah.
Because it is a super financial term.
But it just describes it best, and we'll get to that in a minute. But financial advisors, money managers, use that term to describe basically how much money they are managing.
Yeah.
So how many different clients and how much money they have, add all that up, and that's their assets under management. And so, anyway, so the reason we kind of stole this term and that we use this is because we track this number, and a lot of people call this your net worth. Which is a great thing to track, because it's a way to measure your financial progress. Like everything that you do, whether good or bad, affects this number. So it's a great way to see if you're moving forward financially.
Well, one of the reasons I like why we changed it, even though it is a super financial term, but net worth to me sounds like, oh, well, you must be worth $1 billion if you have a net worth.
Well, yeah, even
I don't know
having
why.
a net worth.
I just having a net worth means that you're worth $1 billion in my head of what I've learned.
I don't think that there's
from the vacuum that was
that
was there because there was no financial education. So it's like I didn't really know what any of that meant. It was just that, oh well, if you have a net worth, then you're worth $1 billion.
Okay. All right. Well, this is good to know. But I think in general, this is not a term.
Sound really dumb. I guess I don't care.
It doesn't, because it's not a term that's used at all in middle or lower class America.
Right.
Lower middle class probably never uses that term. It's probably not until you get to upper middle class where anyone even uses that term.
$1 million, I would think.
It shouldn't be. This is the problem.
I agree
it
with
shouldn't
you.
be. It's a really great exercise. It's a great thing to do. But I think most people in lower middle class
right?
era, anyway, I think most people in lower middle class America just think in terms of, all right, well, I have some money in savings and that's it, and don't think beyond that. But again, regardless of how much money you're making, where you are in your socioeconomic spectrum, this is super valuable and helpful to do.
Yes, I'm thinking through this and talking through it with you. I hope that's okay.
Great,
but anyway,
let's do it.
I'm just thinking through it, and I think most of it was because for a long time, I didn't think that I had any worth, because it was like, well, I have to own a business or something like that in order to have a net worth. That's what I thought.
That's interesting.
I thought I needed something else, but the truth is everyone has a net worth.
Yeah. Yep, everybody does.
But, it's something interesting.
That might be the the revelation right there, because that's the thing. Everybody has it, and you can either be going forward or backwards. And if you just keep going forwards, keep making decisions that go forward, move you forward, then 5 years from now, you're going to be in a much better financial spot.
Right.
It's that simple. And so just knowing, and that's what got me so excited the first time I did this, because, I was completely broke when we started this, had a negative net worth.
It wasn't great.
But
we had a net worth.
But we had one, and we knew what it was. And that's the powerful thing, is actually knowing what it was. Because once I knew what it was, then I know, all right, well, if I make good decisions, I'm going to see that go up. And that got excited. Now, the problem in all of this came to the name that we both agree. We just didn't like the term net worth. As Christians, as believers, it's just a bad term to use.
Well, yeah, and I alluded to it just a minute ago where I said I didn't think I was worth anything.
Yeah, and I think that...
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that we don't like it is because whether it's super high, whether it is $1 billion or whether it's negative $10 million, like the truth is, like as a believer, or as a human being, that actually has nothing to do with the worth that we have and the fact that Jesus died for us. It's like we are so immeasurably valuable in his eyes.
Yeah.
And so to like put a number and define us as a number being our worth, whether big or small, just feels insulting.
Yes, completely agree. Okay, so the second reason we renamed it is because, like as you talked about earlier, it's a financial term.
Yeah.
Like it really is used in the financial services industry about people who manage other people's money. And so when you told me that term, and it was like, we are managing someone else's money. Like we're not managing our money. We're managing God's money. Everything we have, if we are Christians, then we believe that we give our lives to God. So that means that what seems like ours is not really ours anymore.
Yeah,
And
we're stewards.
We're stewards
managers,
of what he has entrusted us with. So just kind of getting that straight, I guess, in our mind and just kind of reframing that so that every time we talk about it, we just keep that at the top of our thought process and how we're spending it, how we're saving it, how we're investing it, and how we're giving it. It just is a much different thing, I think. And I think the way we talk about it matters.
Yeah. So I was talking to a pastor last week, and this whole thing that we're talking about comes out of chapter 2 of our book. So if you want to read more about it, you can check it out there. But I was talking to this pastor last week, and he was saying, oh, man, the AUM thing, that's a game changer. He said, as soon as I saw that, it's like he's like, it's such a subtle shift. Yeah. Like just the name of this sheet that you have that you're tracking, but it reframes your thinking to get you more oriented with just true stewardship and just understanding that everything God's entrusted to us is not ours and it's to be used for his glory, for his purposes, and how he asks us to, Yeah. And sometimes he just delegates to us and says, do the best you can with this. And sometimes he gives us specific instruction. And good stewards will pay attention to that specific instruction that he gives,
I mean, it's the same thing if you're like trying to lose weight and you put a note on, your fridge to say, is this the right time? What are you going to choose? Whatever it is, just the continual motivation of, or the continual reminder of, are you doing what you want to be doing?
Yep.
Like, is this really what you want to be doing? So that's why we reframed it and renamed it. And
and just, being completely transparent here, like I have been talking about this stuff, money and the Bible and Christianity and this intersection for 15 years, and I still forget like all the time. You know what I mean? It's like we just need a lot of reminders. Right. And this is just one thing that helps me remember more often when I'm making decisions with my money. It's not just about it being my money. Like it's not my money, Right. And I need help remembering that. And so that's why I found this to be super helpful. And I think a lot of people have.
Write a note on your credit card.
You should. A lot of people have, and that's what's been really fun. Go for it.
It's hard though because that auto pay stuff, like there's no way to really put that reminder, but a note on your credit card.
Yeah.
To just be like, just checking in.
Debit card, just write AUM, big black marker. Because I feel like
great idea.
A debit card is. We're getting super in the weeds here, but a debit card is a little bit more accurate because that card represents money that's in an account. You know what I mean?
Yes, and a credit card represents.
Yeah.
Your failures.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why this is better. Well, why should you track it?
Why should you track it? Like especially if you're negative.
Well, yeah, because I think so many people are like, all right, this is just a financial exercise. Why should I do this? What's the point? What's the value in this? Okay, I'm curious what you think on this.
Okay.
I think that there are so many people, I see this all the time, who all of their financial progress is tracked by how things feel. So it feels good this month because there was $50 left at the end of the month, or it feels good because my credit card balance isn't as big as it was last month. It feels better. I don't know, like any number of things. But the problem is that that's an incomplete picture. All right, so we're coming back off the 5th interruption in the short time that we've been doing this podcast. Yeah.
We're hopefully we can connect these dots.
We're gonna try to connect these dots. So
Okay.
I think where I was explaining this analogy of why it's important not just go by how it feels. And so
Yes.
if you are trying to lose weight, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Like you can just go by how tight your sweatpants feel, right? Like.
Or your jeans.
I feel like my jeans aren't as tight as they used to be, so must be doing good. Like,
Right.
And that's fine. Like that's giving you some information, but it's just not as good as stepping on a scale.
Right.
Like seeing exactly how you're doing, if you're making progress, how much progress you've made, and how short of a time. Like having those numbers is just super, super helpful and valuable.
And also seeing, I ate this, and so that sent me backward.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, now I can learn for next time, right?
Yeah,
It's a
because like your
reflection of what's
sweatpants just
going on.
aren't going to reveal that much information to you.
Right.
And so when it comes to managing our finances, so many people are doing that equivalent thing where it's like, I'm just going by how my financial life feels, and it feels terrible, and therefore things must be a mess. And the reality is they might not be as bad as you think if you actually were seeing the true picture of what's going on.
Right.
And so in the financial world, that's what AUM does. It will help you track and see what's going on in a way, just like stepping on a scale if you're trying to lose weight.
Right, because it's a holistic view.
Yep.
It's
big
not
picture
just
thing,
one thing. So
pulling
like
everything together.
one of the things you've talked about is like how much debt you have. Well, that doesn't actually give you a holistic view. It tells you one piece of it.
Yeah,
one
like
piece
so
of the puzzle.
some people measure all of their financial progress based on how much debt they have. And so I have less debt now, and therefore my financial life is better. And yes, probably in many cases, but not all. Like,
right. Or
like
even, I have a
actually
bunch in savings. And even though I'm out of money every month, I have a bunch in savings, so I must be fine.
Yeah.
Even if I'm in debt up to my eyeballs.
Yeah, it's the same thing where it's like,
Right.
it's just not a holistic view of what's going on. And that's why having one number with AUM is a great thing to track and why I think it's so important. So hopefully I've convinced you at this point that this is an exercise worth doing because it's really not that difficult. It doesn't have to take very long. And I'll just quickly talk through how to do this. And I'll also give you a spreadsheet. We have a free worksheet that will get into your hands. I'll give you a link to it. Or you can just grab it now. It's seedtime.com/AUM. And so write that down, throw it in your phone, ask Siri to remind you, if you're driving or something.
Tell your robot to remind you.
Tell some robot to remind you when you get home and you're not driving anymore. But anyway, it's so simple to calculate. Like essentially all you're doing is adding up all of the assets that you have. These are all the things that you own that have any value in them. So your house would be one, your car would be one, whatever, maybe your wedding ring, whatever, big furniture in your house, stocks that you own, how much money is in your checking account, your savings account.
Big cameras, like if you have a nice DSLR camera. Whatever.
Yeah, like anything that has value that you're like, all right, I could sell this and get some money out of, that's there.
A lawnmower.
Yeah, and to make your life easier, like we don't have all that stuff listed on our thing. Like I don't really write anything down on that sheet unless I think we could get $500 or more out of it,
Well, I meant like a big riding lawnmower, but yeah.
Yeah. If you got a big riding lawnmower, big John Deere, big tractor.
Our friend has an electric bike, and she was like, should this go on there? I mean, I think that thing was like $1,400 or something. And
why
Bob's
not?
like, I would put it on there. If you can sell it and it's worth something, throw it on there.
And so what's great about it, so you just this is the first part of this exercise. So it's real simple. You add up the value of all those different things, So you go into your checking account, your savings account, your 401k, your investments. You go to Zillow.com, find out the value of your home, the Zestimate or whatever. And there are going to be people, some financial nerds who are, I don't think you should go to Zillow and get this estimate because it might not be accurate. You should get an appraisal. And it's like, if you want to do all that, that's fine. But the point is to make it a simple exercise. And if you want to go spend the money to get an appraisal, great. My point is how can we make this super easy and quick?
Yeah.
So you add up all of that stuff, and that gives you one big number. Okay. And so that is the value of all the assets that you are managing. Okay. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to subtract the debts. Okay.
Right.
So now we add up all the debt that we have.
So you start with the mortgage.
Start with your mortgage. If you have a mortgage, that's
the big
probably the
one.
biggest thing.
How
Student
much
loan
you
debts.
have left on your car.
Yep. If you have a car loan.
If you have a car payment.
Student loans. If you have a loan to grandma or you owe her money, like whatever the thing is.
Right.
Add all of those debts up, credit cards, like all that stuff. And then that becomes a big number. And then you subtract that from the assets number.
That just reminds me, you owe me $5.
Okay. I don't know what for, but Apparently, I owe my wife $5.
Oh, is that easy? You owe me 500 is what I meant to say.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so simple second grade math problem. You add everything up and then you subtract it. Okay. And then that final number is your AUM. You know, if you want to call it your net worth, by all means.
Yeah.
But we just prefer the term AUM. And so we track that.
You can call it mac and cheese if you want. It doesn't really matter, actually.
Sure.
I mean, really.
Whatever. Call it mac and cheese. Anyway, so we check that number about every 6 months to a year or so. I update ours, and I've been doing that for, 16, 17 years now. And it's been so encouraging because...
The first time we did it, we were negative...
We were negative 13,000
something thousand.
And which, just a disclaimer, like it's really common to be negative with this. Like, especially if you have a lot of student loan debt or something like...
Or even just a house.
Like medical debt. Like, there's just a lot of people who are negative. Like, it's just really, really common. So don't be like upset if you are negative. Like, it's very, very common, unfortunately.
But what was fun is that we did this, and 1 year later, we recalculated, and we were positive $900, which for most people, it's like $900. That doesn't sound that exciting. But what we saw was that just by making a few good decisions on a really small budget, we had made $15,000 worth of progress.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting to us because it was like, well, hold on a second, because if we didn't have much to like actually move the needle forward,
wait till we start getting better jobs.
$15,000. That's like $1,000 a month. Over $1,000 a month.
So what that looked like for us, some of those decisions were basically, I think at that point, just paying off debts. So we're paying off some credit cards, and then we were also adding some money to savings. I think we might have started investing a little bit more in our 401ks and stuff.
And
so
it wasn't like hardcore investing. It was like bare minimum.
So we were just hitting,
so that we're matching, whatever they're going to give us.
But we were just hitting some of those things, and each one of those things was helping us grow our AUM. And over the years, it's just been so exciting just watching what God has done. And I talk about this all the time, but I'm convinced that good managers need to know what they're managing. Like good managers know what they are managing, know what they're responsible for. And if we are called by God to be managers of this money that He's entrusted us with, like we should know what's going on. And this is a way to know what's going on. And it's a way to track our progress and really build a testimony of what God is doing and is going to do in our lives. And so like I'm so thankful now that we have that to be able to say that we started negative 13,000 on our testimony, and to be able to look back at what God has done over the last 15 years. It's just really fun. And it's a really cool testimony of His faithfulness.
Absolutely. And it's giving us a good idea of how we are what He has entrusted us with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just let's just check in and see how we're doing on things.
Yep.
So, I think this is absolutely worth everyone's time. And especially if you are feeling the burden of debt. Honestly, I think the people, I remember we had one person that came up to us and was like, I'm scared to look at this. And I totally get that. That is completely valid. But what we have learned from this is you can just start making a few better decisions and you will see progress really fast. And so what that does is it takes it from, you're in a bad situation, but you can quickly see improvement just by making a few tweaks.
And
that aren't that hard, that aren't that time consuming, that are not above your head. You know what I mean? They're simple things that you can do. And then you can watch your improvement and your progress, and you can watch what God does on top of that. That's way beyond, your best attempts. So
and I'm convinced, because I've seen this so many times in our lives and in our students' lives, that God is just waiting for us to take that first step in faith, trusting Him. He's like, listen, I want you to trust me, but you have to take a step.
Right.
Like, you got to fill out the sheet. You have to decide that you're going to put some effort in here. And I can't wait to come behind you and show you what I can do. Like, we've seen that over and over and over again. So it is an exercise worth doing. So take this weekend. I honestly think most people can do this in probably 20 or 30 minutes. It doesn't have to take very long.
That's
Go to seedtime.com/AUM. give you a spreadsheet. You can do that. If you want to read more about it, it's in chapter 2 of our book, Simple Money Rich Life. You can get the audiobook, whatever. But I mean, we've given you the gist. Like, you know what to do. Like, this is it. So this is your homework for the weekend. Go do that. Get that sheet. And send this to someone else who needs it.
Yeah.
Send this to someone else who's like, this would be a great idea for you. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Adios.
We really love creating fresh content for you each week, but if you have not checked out our book, Simple Money Rich Life, this really is our best work, and we have some free resources we want to tell you about.
So if you enjoy listening to our soothing voices, then you can download chapter 1 of the audiobook.
And if you prefer to read, we have the first 2 chapters of the ebook version.
Or we even have a 5-week book study outline based on this book. You can download all of this for free at seedtime.com/sample.
What?
You said we would have the Gatorade later, and we forgot to.
You want the Gatorade?
Yeah, and we forgot.
What are you going to do with it if I give it to you?
We're gonna drink it all. That's